Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I think whenever it came to engineering school, I felt like I was always behind on a lot of stuff. I felt like I was always trying to catch up and I could never catch up with anyone else. And I realized that a lot of it had to do with the fact that I did not have a Chegg subscription. I refused to get Chegg, not just because it felt unethical to me to get Chegg, but the fact that I wasn't gonna learn from it. And I know there's a lot of you, most of you have used it. Even Chegg said that on its own website. I think like 94% of students who use Chegg said that they would not have been able to pass classes without it. And I just think that goes to show how much of a paywall there is between success and effort even more, because without Chegg I felt like I could not compete with the rest of my classmates. There are several schools which curve the grades, and if you are not on that curve, if you're not performing as well as everybody else, you're absolutely screwed. And even if you are performing as well as everyone else, you're still absolutely screwed. So for me, Chegg absolutely ruined a lot of things about education. Not only Chegg, but the College Board and just a lot of parents in general when it came to when it comes to school. So this is just my opinion. Nobody has paid me to say this thing at all, but this is my own suffering in school as a result of not being able to afford Chegg. And so something that like I had seen, we can start with Chegg later on, but like starting in high school, whenever it came to AP courses, I had seen a lot of people, it was the, like, of course everyone was told like education is the goal, the grades come second, but grades are so important because how else are you going to show up and look impressive to a college if you're applying to that, right? So it felt very demanding to get good grades, and it always felt like the learning came second to the good grades. And so things at the College Board that I feel like they encouraged was skipping classes and going into university. I saw the effects of that, where I'll see my friends in my chemical engineering courses and heat transfer not even remembering anything about Pythagorean theorem or trigonometry, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you should know that by now. And it's not like, oh, and they made the excuses like, oh, that was so long ago. Like, no, it's not. You need to know math. You can't just be passing classes and getting along through the rest of school. So when it comes to the AP courses and the College Board, I feel like with a College Board you were able to skip pre-calculus, I think, and go straight into calculus if you did really well in algebra 2, which is absolutely insane to me now that I've been forced to go through college algebra, trigonometry, and pre-calculus all before heading into Calc 1. That is bonkers. And I see now, like, AP Calculus BC, the kids don't actually understand the physics of a derivative. They don't understand, like, they just think, okay, this is the formula, this is the chain rule, this is the product rule, this is the exponent rule, right? And I'm just like, they don't see how it works together. The fact that I had to actually just drive around going to community college for dual enrollment and actually being in a car helped me to understand calculus way better than just being a high school student. Like, calculus is an adult math, and you can't have childlike behavior going into this kind of math. And this sort of like encouraging you to skip because you're smart enough to do so, I think is dangerous in a sense that, like, you're discouraging people who are probably very capable. They just take a little bit to understand. And if I'm honest, most of my friends in high school who I saw took calculus didn't even pursue engineering after that. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people who did, but like, at least within my friend group, and I did high school band, I didn't really see a lot of people pursuing greater and higher levels of mathematics. Like, I think just within my friend group, and correct me if I'm wrong to all my friends that are out here, I've taken 2 differential equations classes and 3 statistics classes. and I've taken reactors. I've taken 2 thermodynamics classes. I took the baby thermodynamics, which the mechanical engineers think is like the hardest thing ever, and then like multi-component thermodynamics, which is still not the hardest thing ever, but it's like confusing magic that I don't think is real. But it helps us to understand the dynamic dance of multiple kinds of fluids together within the same system, and their different vapor, like their vapor pressures, and just knowing what to expect out of that system. Things about fugacity. What is fugacity? Let me know when you find out. So the thing with going back to just the fact that you're skipping classes, you are missing out on so much essential knowledge to head into the next thing. And like I said with my friends in heat transfer, they're like, I don't know about Pythagorean theorem. Like, that was stuff that you should have learned when you were 15. And you don't just toss it out as soon as you learn it. You should have known it. And that should have been embedded in your soul. You need all those years between math courses and between science courses to embed principles and to embed equations into your soul so that you understand it fully. Like, you can't just skip through classes. And I also think that there's a lot of parents who are ruining education because they see their kid as a reflection of them, which is true in a sense, but it's like, oh, my kid isn't doing as well as this other person's kid. I'm a bad parent. You need to be doing better so that I look like a good parent. That's a very selfish thought process. And I actually had several parents who would like try to get me to help their kids with like not just tutoring, but like on their actual exams, and they were like, why didn't you do this well? I'm like, well, first of all, I don't know the vocabulary that your student's teacher is using, or sorry, that your kid's teacher is using. So the fact that I took this geometry class 10 years ago is going to be a point of disconnection when it comes to whatever your child is taking right now. And then I also hear of my friends who thought like engineering school was an absolute joke, and guess what? You know, the ones who thought it was an absolute joke were the ones who cheated. They're the ones who took Chegg. They're the ones who got tutors and did not remember anything about differential equations at all. I remember stuff from differential equations. Like, that was your fault for not putting in the effort to your education. And that's why you think it was an absolute joke, because you made it an absolute joke for yourself. And then I see tutors who will actually just like do the homework for the students and not actually help them to becoming an actual learner of the material, and they just write the essay for the kid. They just do the equation. They do the test for the student. How are you helping society? How are you encouraging a good society when you are literally just, I don't want to say helicopter parenting, but like, you're encouraging childish behavior. And now you've got people who've graduated college who are supposedly, on the dean's list, on this, on that list, for whatever status you want, and they don't actually know how to work. To what end? Or like, what was your goal in this? So that you could pay for groceries? Yeah, that's also a very selfish thing. You need to think about yourself and think about affording food, but at what cost? I'm not saying that just because you did the homework for one kid, you're going to be the downfall of Western society. That's not what I'm saying. But a bunch of it all together, you're not encouraging strength, you're not encouraging perseverance, you're not encouraging good study habits, and all you're doing is you're enabling. You are an enabler to people who are irresponsible when you are doing their homework for them and they're just paying you to do so. For parents, there are several very immature parents out there who just want you to help their kid pass the class, and they focus so much on the passing grade or the 4.0 as opposed to the actual learning. I did not get very good grades in chemistry, and yet the thing that I'm studying is chemical engineering. And you might be like, oh, so you're probably not a very good chemical engineer. I knew chemistry. I may not know all the mathematics for the chemical engineering, but I have all my books back over here. because I love to study it and I'm an absolute nerd. But I put forth the effort and I'm gonna fall because guess what? I didn't have Chegg. I couldn't afford another $30 subscription to getting all the homework answers like everybody else did. And the result of it is the fact that I actually know what I'm doing. I can actually dissect things, and I'm not saying that that's what all my friends were doing. In fact, like I felt like my program at my university was so difficult that our professors would make sure that we would come to them for office hours all the time and that we would consult them. And it was sort of a ploy that they did where they made things vague so that we would actually have to go talk to them. And then that way they knew that you actually did the homework and you weren't just going on Chegg, because guess what? It could be pretty obvious if they made it vague enough. So that vagueness was put in there on purpose in order for them to kind of double check that we weren't just going on Chegg. But like I really feel like Chegg is ruining education because it's encouraging the focus on good grades above learning, and you need to learn above all things. The thing that I emphasize whenever I'm tutoring is the fact that I will not help you get through every single homework problem and pass it so that you can continue on with your bad habits of doing homework at the last minute. Hello, that's me. I did homework at the last minute. And it was too easy for me whenever I was in 6th grade. So I carried that behavior on into 7th grade, which I could still do. And then in 8th grade happened, and then I couldn't continue on with that. But I tried to. And then same thing in 9th and 10th grade. It was a little bit more difficult, and I couldn't just continue on with my bad habits. And you cannot allow people to continue on with their bad habits when it comes to time management skills. You need to put in, as a tutor, you need to put in the effort of telling people, you're not going to pass this class and that's your fault. And there's nothing I can do to help you with this. But that's going back and forth, like, between my tutoring stuff and my Chegg things, and because it's not my Chegg stuff, I couldn't afford it. So I really felt like I was disadvantaged because I could not go forward with my studying at the same rate as everyone else. I just felt like everybody got everything so quickly, and in fact they didn't. They were copying Chegg. Now, albeit it takes a while, and sometimes Chegg does not have the same numbers that you have, but there's a different kind of thing that's happening when you have to like really, 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 really struggle for it. And I understand that Chegg was originally something that would help people just to understand. It was like a solutions manual, and yet it's another paywall. So you're encouraging more of that, like, I'm going to be successful because I'm rich type of mentality. I can afford this, so therefore I can pass the class, versus true merit alone. And that's the thing that I hate about Chegg so much. That's the thing I hate about the College Board so much, because it encourages just the passing of the grade and not so much the learning. Maybe I'll have more organized thoughts later on, but these are my thoughts so far. I really, really hate all of it. I felt like I wasn't able to succeed in school. I felt like I was so far behind, and seeing all my friends being able to go out to the bars and enjoying their Friday nights, and I was stuck studying because I could not afford that. I needed to afford food. I needed to afford gas. And I have this other thing that is holding me back because it makes it look like everybody else is caught up, when really I'm just as dumb as they are when it came to school. So yeah, that's my take on terrible things that are happening to society because of education. You've got selfish, immature parents who only focus on passing grades. You've got the College Board, which encourages skipping of classes in order to take higher levels of classes for clout. It just really feels like it's clout alone, and there's a lot, and I think it's just especially math. There's a lot of kids who are missing out on all these principles that need to be embedded in their souls, and you're skipping through that just so that they look like they're smarter. Are they actually like? Do they actually know how to make good decisions? You know. And the third thing, Chegg, it and all other things with this paywall where they're not actually going to help you. You know, like they're going to help you pass the class for this semester, but do you actually remember what's going on? I know several people who are like, "Oh, I had no idea what's going on. I just copied Chegg." Chegg is not doing society any help, and they're creating a worse society and capitalizing on it. And I have no problem with making money, but they're creating a worse society of people and of enabling people with bad time management skills and just bad study habits, bad perseverance skills, essentially no perseverance skills, and they're proudly saying this on their website that 94% of students said that they couldn't have passed without us. Yeah, that's because you're making it easy for them to pass. I think there's a lot of stupids that would not be going to college causing stupid stuff if this thing wasn't enabling, if they didn't have this enabler to help encourage this kind of behavior on all fronts. So, that's my opinion on school. Anyway, I hope you like this cynical stuff. Peace out, guys.